Welcome, guys. Good afternoon. And Sandy Bay Media and myself, Alex Sivkorowski, Dean Wixon, and Calder United coach Mark Torcaso will analyse the grand final. Mark, thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time, and I'm sure myself and Dean have got a lot of questions to get through today. And we're really keen to understand just key moments of the game and also how you felt during the week building up to the game. So we want to thank you so much for that. And we've had a lot of inquiries about the video that we produced the other day. So it's good to see people interested, and hopefully we want to bring you more value to this and more games as the season once we start coming back. So Mark, talk to us about leading up to the grand final. How did you manage the training aspect and the emotions of being in the grand final?
So first up, it was a pretty tough week actually, because a lot of people didn't realise, but Alex Sinclair, our striker, lost her father during that week. So it was pretty tough as a whole, because we had to obviously deal with looking after Alex, and then obviously preparing for a grand final. So the expectations from me to the girls was, while you've got that on your head, let's try and obviously play in a grand final. And we obviously left Alex to do what she needed to do for that week, to look after family and stuff, and we just got through it as best as we can. But it was a normal week of training. There was no, for us, it wasn't about going out there and, we have to win this grand final. It was, you did what you had to do all year. This is a bonus. This is a cherry. You're playing, in a grand final on Amy Park. So some of the young girls wouldn't have had that experience before. So it was almost like, go out there and enjoy it, I guess. And then whatever happened.
Did you do obviously, like you mentioned there, you try to keep it as normal and consistent as it was. Given the fact that you're playing on Amy Park, did you make any slight tactical changes or anything like that to just make the girls adjust to the ground a lot better?
Yeah, I mean, apart from the size of the ground compared to what we're normally used to, I think it's probably about 4 or 5 meters bigger and wider and longer than most of the pitches that we play on. So we trained actually on our third pitch. Dean would remember that one. That was the one we played Bayside on. It's a huge ground. And we played on that. We actually trained all week on it. We sort of extended the boundaries a lot bigger than what they usually are, and I guess utilised the full pitch to its maximum. And that was one part of our prep, making sure that we got as close to as we could as what Amy Park would be like.
And obviously, when you arrived there, was there any final message that you just mentioned to the girls? Was it just go out there and do your best, or was there anything in particular that you really, said that really just, changed, wanted them to play a different style or anything? Was there anything differently on the day that you sort of did differently with the girls?
No, I mean, like most people would see, we've been pretty consistent in the way that we play. We don't change too much in regards to who we're playing or what we're doing. We worry about ourselves, and we just focus on our game. And our game, like I said, it doesn't change. It doesn't change a lot. It's just making sure that you're ready for it. And obviously, we're lucky enough that last season, even the season before, we had some girls experience playing in finals. So not Nike FC Cup. The year before, we were in semi-finals. A couple of years before that, we're in the Team Up Cup and all that type of thing. So having girls already played in those experiences, it was almost like it was another game. And whatever you did from here was a bonus. And that's how we treated it. It wasn't any different. My messages were the same. Ian, my assistant, his messages were the same. We just try to keep it as normal as possible, just to make sure that the girls enjoyed the occasion and didn't take too much from the fact that it was, an NPL Grand Final.
I've got to say, Mark, it's good to have you on and everything. It's great to see you guys were clearly the best team in the league last year. I'm English. We don't do this whole grand final malarkey. Top of the league is the thing that we like. For me, you could lose a grand final, but if you're top of the league, and you guys flew through that. I don't know how many points clear you were, but you won it fairly easy in the end. It's good to hear that you didn't want to change that for a grand final. We're the best team. We're a good side, some quality players. And that's why you end up with such an attractive type of football, I think, because you're not worrying about the opposition.
Yeah, and that's I think that was one comment that you said in your analysis when you broke down that final is we don't fear anyone. Like we just play. We go and play, and like it's you're playing a good side on a weekend, you're playing a mid side, you're playing a week or so, whatever it is. It just you go out and play. It's not. It doesn't change for a bottom side or a top side. We just go out and play the way we need to play. And if they follow, I guess the instructions and the messages that we give as coaches, me and Ian, then we make sure that it's just it might be a tweak or something like that on a game day. And they're all. I think you might have said, Alex, that it's developed over the last 3-4 years. It's not something that just happened in the space of 10 minutes. It's happened over the last 2 or 3 seasons, and we got to that point where, we did what we did last season, and it was just the fact that everything was so simple. We kept it so simple. We didn't complicate stuff. That was an important thing for us.
You just see you've got good players down at the club, and the more success you have, the more good players want to come. It's a snowball effect. But like you're using the strengths of those players, like the mindset you're giving them. Why is Alex Sinclair going to go into a game scared of her opposite number? Why should she be? Why should your Toronto Twins not think they're going to dominate a midfield? Like like when there's such strength all over the pitch, it's good to have a positive attitude towards it.
Yeah, and I guess that's what it comes down to, Dean, is the fact that you're giving them license to control the situation rather than me or a coach be there and dictate. And you got to do this and you got to do that. It's almost like I'll just manage it while you guys go out and do what you got to do.
And that's what top teams should do, mate. Like, because I remember when I took the seniors up at Calder, basically we were trying to play to what you guys did to nullify it, because the disparity in the league meant that we would get overrun, and we did an okay job, but it does hinder you going forward because you're kind of containing, and you guys don't need to do that against anyone, really, for me.
Nah, and that's the pleasing thing is even the players that come through, like, I don't know if many people don't probably realise, but we've got 9 girls in our senior side that have come through our juniors since under 12s, since day dot of the NPL. So there's 9 girls on our senior list that have been through, I guess, our program or our process or whatever you want to call it. And it's almost like every one of them know their job. And, next or this season when we decide to start it, there's going to be opportunities to some of the young girls that over the last couple of seasons would have been 20, 30-minute players that were playing 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes. So that's the key.
Yeah, I mean, like the youth development in the NPL is probably a massive debate on its own, but there wouldn't be any other club. I'm going to stretch out my neck here and say there wouldn't be another club with 9 homegrown, if you like, players. That wouldn't be happening.
No, I wouldn't think so. But I mean, again, it's something that we sort of brought into the club when I went there from day dot was, if you're going to do this, you've got to surround yourself with 5 or 6 key players, and then you've got to build. And we did that in the first year, and it hasn't changed. Every year you've got your 5 or 6 key players that you just constantly keep developing those ones around it. Because there's going to be a day where Alex Sinclair decides she's had enough, G decides she has enough, and Angie decides she wants to stay in Brisbane in the sun. And you've got to have your next one coming through. So people like Polly Doran become important, Raquel Doralis, those type of girls. So, yeah.
Oh, no, mate, look, you're a good club to watch all year, and it'll be interesting to get your take on what myself and Alex saw the other day with the final.
Easy, let's go through it.
All right, so Dean, you get us off in the first one. We could get the video up.
Yeah, my thing, I actually went through this, I think, with Alex the other day, Mark. Like, it's the one where it culminates in Angie Beard sort of being 2-on-1 with Sinclair, I think, on a defender. But we're looking at Boleyn were actually on the attack, and it's been a good block by one of the Tarantos. And then it bounces to the next Taranto, and she it hits into someone, and it falls to Emma Robers, who's, by the way, been very, very good for a long time. Plays the ball through to Angie. What was going through your mind when that, sort of a bit of a scrappy build-up falls to to Robers and she plays it through. What's going through your head there?
Is that the one when that's not the offside one, is it? When Angie's caught offside, is that the one?
No, it's the one where she plays it a touch too late and Alex is offside.
Oh yeah. Apart from pulling whatever hair I've got out, it's probably a bit of that. You might have seen my expressions on the screen a couple of times, but I think at that point Ian might have kneed me in the butt, saying, "Mate, what's going on here?" Because those type of errors, it's really weird to say this, and I don't like to sort of big note anyone, but we don't make those type of errors, and that grand final, you would have it. You know what I mean? You get it, and you don't expect someone like Angie, for example, and Robers, who have been around for a very long time, and even Alex to some extent. But it's almost like you're in a situation where it's out of your control as a coach on that occasion.
It's freaky, isn't it?
Let them do what they've got to do,
And if you gave them that chance again in a game down at Kingston Heath or at the Veneto Club, it's a goal without a doubt. It's a goal 9 times out of 10. So it was an interesting one because 2v1, if I'm coaching against that and I've got Angie and Alex running at one of my defenders, I'm not the happiest. But
Angie more often than not would put that in the back of the net because she'd just go straight past everyone.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think I might have mentioned something to her at half time about it, but then she got that situation in the second half, which was not identical but very similar, and she went at the goalkeeper and did the right thing and probably should have got a penalty, but that's probably for a discussion a bit later on.
Yeah. Well, because that was only early in the game. That was the first 5 minutes. I think, you scored not long after in the end, but that would have been a nice little settler for you.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Dean. You would have seen it. We always want to get off to a huge start, so we aim for the first 15, 20 minutes to try and have at least 1 to 2 goals, if that's realistic or not. But that's our aim. That's what we focus on because we believe you just crush them. And it's been noted and commented on regularly that if we score early, we're very hard to sort of come back against. Because
it changes, like all those teams that play against you, and they have, like I admit I did it that day. It worked. Like when you try and contain, if you don't concede in the first 15, there's confidence.
You've got a chance.
If you're there to contain a team and then you concede in 15, well, we can't contain you for the next 75 because the game's gone. So, it's interesting. I think Alex is going to go on to the goal now. And, not the best goal I think you guys have scored, but probably the best feeling.
Definitely that,
leading up to it, did you feel that you guys were getting closer and closer once before the goal? Did you feel like you were in control of the game at any point prior to then, or did you feel still a little bit unnervy?
Like I said, Alex, it's a situation where we want to go out hard early and literally have nothing in the tank after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, because then we feel we can contain the last 10, 15. But I felt like that we would score in the first 15 minutes. I don't know what it was, but I felt like we would score. And if you ask my assistant who sits on the side, he goes, "We're going to get one in the first 5 minutes. We're going to get one in the first 10 minutes." Like he's always in my ear saying that. So apart from that, and then he screams it across to the girls that, it's almost like it almost happens all the time, like we'll get a goal, we'll get a 2, but definitely nervy. You're always nervous, I guess, in any situation, even if it's just a league game, wherever and whoever you're playing. But I feel like that we were, especially that season, but that final, I thought we would score. I don't know why. I thought we would score in that first 15, 20 minutes. And then the way it panned out was, I guess, the way it was in the end, but...
Because when we were reviewing it with Dean, we looked at it. You probably could have been 3-0 up within the first 10, 15 minutes. So it was quite surprising that it was still 0-0. So we'll talk about the goal. So when you set up a free kick here, as you can see, is there anything that you tell the girls anyone needs to be in a certain position, or you just try to get in a hot spot and hopefully someone's on the end of it?
So we sort of knew the way Pauline would defend in these type of set pieces. More often than not, it was what you guys said in the analysis. They won't man mark. They relied on the fact that they could, meet us halfway of the ball being challenged. I don't know. So we sort of set ourselves up in a way where the ones that I know that are obviously strongest in the air will attack the ball as best as they can. the best thing about the Twins too, they're pretty deceiving on a free kick. Between those two, Angie, sometimes G or whatever, you got girls on there that can really put in a half decent ball that's unpredictable. And as silly as it sounds, Emily Shields I think she's probably one of the better keepers in the league. She's not always great when it comes to uncomfortable situations. So any free kick that was in around that type of range, we said, let's put it, I think like you said, at Dean towards the end, put it in the mixer and let's see what happens. Let's get some people on the end of it. That's the way it panned out in the end. It was just put the ball in there because we knew that on occasion she's quite unpredictable with her hands. And it actually happened that exact way.
Yeah, it was, I think I said in the last one, like, for a goalkeeper of her quality, should be disappointed with that. But then again, like you said, you've looked at their zonal marking, and your girls were well ahead of any of them, mate. Like,
yeah,
they were
to get that run on from where they were. If you saw where most of them started, we almost started on the 18-yard box, charging at the goal, because of a ball that was going to bounce in front, because that's where it was basically trying to be going. And we knew it would be congestion because there'd be a number of people running in it at once. And if there's a spill, bang, you tap it in. I didn't expect our young central defender, Alicia Ike, to tap it in. But
it could have been any three of them. There was three girls just waiting for it, so it worked out well in the end.
I think Alex Sinclair had to quickly get out of the way at one point because she was almost going to save the ball for Pauline. But yeah,
there'd have been good odds on her getting the first goal, mate. She had another pretty half-decent chance later on, but just after that. Well, there's another one that I kind of wanted to look at. Like, most people would have they'd go past this point of the game, but it was a pretty simple corner. Just this corner set up from you guys. Like, and this sort of what you were saying there about sort of attacking that part of Shields' game. Like, it's just a standard corner, like, I think it was 6th or 7th corner of the game. But I've worked with these Toronto Twins, and I still can't tell them apart. But
I can't either, mate.
Mate, it's just like, I just used to say hello when I worked with them at Galaxy. But she's pinged the ball right, real deep to the back post, and you can see from the setup of you guys, you sort of got 2 at the back post, 1 at the front post, 2 central. Was that intentional before the game to go for that?
Yeah, and is that the same one that Alicia Eki attempts to almost gets? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, that's another one that bounces. This is just after it ends up in a goal kick, but which should have been a corner. But it just sort of struck me because you could see how uncomfortable the Boleyn defenders looked with it.
The Twins. The way the Twins, believe it or not, I mean, you would have seen them. The way they whip the ball in, they whip it in with some real power. It's not like just a floated cross in there. It comes in like between them, their delivery, and some goals that they've scored. There's a fair amount of whip and power on the ball as it comes in. So it's always going to make anyone uncomfortable. But again, like I was saying before, we knew some weak points of the goalkeeper and of certain areas. If you kept the ball away from Kayla Morrison, who's pretty good in the air, and you kept it in and around anyone else, we knew we would have a chance in scoring. Yep. So,
it's interesting to just see it. You can quite clearly see the plan in action throughout the game, and especially on the set pieces. Like, you obviously worked quite hard on that and had a very clear plan, and the girls were able to deliver it, which is bang on. So all in all, for me, mate, controlled the first half pretty comfortably. In the end, like Alex said, could have been 2-3, but that's the way in a final, isn't it? It's never gone to plan. I'm an Arsenal fan, mate. Imagine how many finals I've watched go awry. Like, so, but go in 1-0 at half time, you'd have been pretty happy with that, I'd have thought.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's not a lot you go in and say apart from, this is your day, this is your game, go out and enjoy it still. You might tweak a couple of things, as I said before, and make mention of 1 or 2 things you want them to try and do or focus on. And other than that, again, it's just go out there and enjoy it, because the whole day is overwhelming, but you got to try and keep it as natural and as normal for them as possible. even like the change room setup, it's different to what they're normally used to. There's fruit and there's drinks and there's everything everywhere where they're normally used to them sharing a Gatorade bottle and whatever, you know what I mean? So everything's different for them. You've got to try and keep everything as natural and normal as possible. And I was lucky enough in the past to be part of things like that when I was at the Victory as the goalkeeper coach. So I was lucky enough to see what it's like at that level in the W League. So you've got to try and keep it as natural and as normal as possible. Otherwise, it can get out of hand a little bit in regards to, being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
What about your nerves? How were they at halftime? Did you feel like you've got control of the game, or did you still feel like they're coming? Or how was it at halftime for yourself in particular?
I think what's important, like I'm lucky enough, I've got a good support group next to me in regards to my assistant coach and things like that. So he actually started the conversation of the team chat, like more often than not that I will. But for this grand final, we did it was just almost like, you know what, you go in there and rip into them or say whatever you have to say, and then I'll come in and do what I need to do. But it was different, and I definitely was nervous. Like, 'cause you can't expect anyone to come out easy the second half, especially if it's 1-0 and they're within a chance. Like we were saying, usually we would be in a comfortable position, 2-3 goals up, where you can start throwing things around and making things differently. But at 1-0, you're still nervous, but somewhat controlled, and think that you're in this. This is your game. You've got this. You're almost there. So. Yeah.
Did you tell the girls keep doing what they're doing, or did you tell them let's push on and try get another goal?
Yeah, I mean, like it's always our intention to, like, one of the last things that my assistant coach will say in our team talk is that first 5 or 10 minutes, let's try and get a goal in that second half. Put pressure again back on them, make them worried. And I think we did come out not bad, and we almost had a goal scoring chance in the first 5 or 10 minutes. But as games go on, if a team's going to score, and I didn't feel they were going to score. There was that one occasion, I think, when Alyssa made a really good save, De Loste, with about 20 left, but I still didn't feel like they were going to score. I don't know why. I just had that feeling.
No, it didn't look like they were going to score a goal for me. So yeah, I tend to agree with that. I'd have been quite happy myself. If we move into the second half, there's a point, and this goes against everything we were saying earlier, where I think you take off. I can't remember who you take off.
My right back for Stacey.
I don't know. Where
is it? Marie Rampel for Stacey?
Yeah, 13 for 7.
Yeah.
And there was a bit as I was watching it, and I think it was Bubs that was commentating, and she said, "Oh, it's defensive tactics," and I just thought that. It just got me, because like you're saying here, like we worry about us, we want to score goals, and that's what I see. And I just wondered, what did you think of that? Did you think that was in your head? Was that a defensive move, or
was it the fullbacks, or was it Raquel Doralis for one of the twins? It might have been
13. Yeah, that's one of the twins, isn't it?
Yeah, it might have been. It might have been one of the twins for Raquel. So Raquel's 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
More the most energy in that team. Like, she's a lunatic. And in that instance, I knew that she would, I guess, be comfortable in the situation. Between Robers and I think it was Mel that came off, they got a couple of knocks in the first half. So Robers was cooked in the first 20 minutes of the game. She had done her ankle basically, and we sort of nursed her through the rest of the half. But Mel's had a bit of a nagging sort of knee injury leading up to the final and a few weeks before. And it was almost like we probably need a little bit of freshness just to keep it going. And when I looked across the bench, Raquel was the one, because she was just she almost plays on instinct, and I knew she'd do it. I think she flattened someone at one point as well.
Yeah, she almost had a goal as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said bringing on a 16-year-old was defensive, to be honest. If anything, it's erratic. In general, because they're going to be
definitely that. But that's what I mean about the kid. The kid is like she's inconsistent and consistent in one. Like, it's just she's out of control. Yeah. Like, she's out of control. But it's almost like you needed that little bit of difference in that type of situation, because she just moves everywhere. Like, and powerful. She's strong.
It's something different for them to think about. That no way would Paul have been thinking that you guys are going to bring on a 16-year-old with a decent amount of time to go, so it throws some of their stuff up. It's a different move. Top teams, that's all you need to worry about. Last thing for me, mate, in the game, like with that going on, towards the end you replaced Alex. Was that like? I thought it was a nice touch. I was at the game. I sort of knew the scenario to an extent, and it was a really good touch. I mean, just wanted to touch on what she brings. Like, she's very humble, very driven player, and sort of from the outside, the key figure that you look out for in your squad.
Yeah, Alex is you would definitely say she's like that spiritual leader. She's like that. She's like the mum of the side. She's like the old duck, sometimes I call her. But she's probably one of the most like the words that I can put for her. Like, I can't even put words to her because of the way she applies herself, and at the age that she is, she'll kill me if I say it, but I won't. She still runs around like she's 19, mate, and she and she works hard. She wants the best out of everyone around her, and not many people know that before her time with us, she spent a lot of years with Box Hill when they were very successful many years ago. With Bubs, with people like that.
Yeah.
Louisa Bisbee, like, she was in that side when Box Hill were I guess the powerhouse. So she's a bit of a good luck charm because everywhere she goes, everywhere she touches, it wins. So we'll keep her in there as long as we can.
That's not a coincidence, is it? I mean,
we'll keep her in, but she looks after herself, Dean. That's the difference. She looks after her body. She eats right. She trains right. And she just constantly looks after herself. That's why there's longevity there, and she can keep getting more and more out of herself.
Yeah, without a doubt, I'm slightly different. I think the NPL misses that. I think that there's a few players that, if players can apply themselves in that and live football as such, and live to get better and follow her lead, because she's outplayed a lot of other girls, in her time. And I mean, if she ever fancies dropping down to the VPL for a quick year, mate, before promotion, let's send her my way.
Yeah, I don't know about that, mate. We'll try and get a few more years over. She's huge when it comes to the influences she has around our young girls and the young girls in the senior side. Like I said, she goes from being like an experienced person that helps me as a coach, but then she works with the young girls like she's their best friends, So we've got huge influences around our club, like those type of people, like Alex, like G, like Zimmer from America. You've got huge personalities that help, I guess, our growth. Yeah,
and you need it, and it's evident from, like you say, 9 players in a roster from your under 12s all the way through. Like, there's obviously something going well, and it shows that you can build that success. Treble winners or whatever it was last year. Like, you can build on that. It doesn't have to be bring in players all the time. It's
no, that's right.
It's a good model. It's a good model for NPL clubs to follow, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because you're sitting in front of me, but like it clearly, every age group, you guys are doing well. Like the 9 teams last year, we're streaks ahead, and it's a good model. Interesting to see how you guys keep going.
So now, Mark, you're going to be the hunted, obviously, once we return. How much do you change your game plan, or do you just stick to what you guys are good at once you return? Because now everyone's going to be looking to beat you guys, and now you're going to be the hunted. So what do you do anything differently this season? Do you try to make any changes, bring in new people or anything like that? Bring in some juniors, like you mentioned, from the lower, from your teams below. What's the go different?
I mean, obviously, like I've said it before, like we'll try and keep the same type of message and the same process as we can. But while this is all happening, I think it's important to acknowledge also we have a role to play as clubs and to make sure that we get these girls into the next level. And people like Polly Emma Robers was their first time in the W League set up this year with Melbourne Victory. That's our goal. So if it's that we're the hunted, we'll still focus on trying to beat everyone, don't get me wrong, and try and win games and change certain things that we do when we need to. But also, if we can encourage as many of our young girls that come through the club to step into those type of environments, then we feel that we're successful from that perspective. So Don't get me wrong. I'd take a grand final win every day, but I'd also take the fact that you could put some girls into a W League system and they'll be comfortable. Do you know what I mean? They won't go in there and struggle. They'll actually go in there and be comfortable. So that's key for us. And then bringing in the couple of girls that we brought in, like Laura Spranovic.
Yeah. Do you feel that's the reward? Not winning the grand final, but the girls progressing onto, getting careers, like you mentioned, Melbourne Victory, maybe into the Matildas and things, or overseas. Do you feel that's more of a reward than winning the grand final, or vice versa?
I mean, I've always, prior to my years at Calder, I was at Bundoora for a number of years, and it was always a privilege, and that was in the old WPL. It was always a privilege to be working with players who were coming from Victory setups, Melbourne City setups, or NTC setups, because I felt like that I could create an environment with the staff that I had around me to prepare the person for the next stage. So it's probably more rewarding for me to some extent than winning everything. Or winning trophies and stuff like that. Like, that's what everyone, I guess, is there to do,
Yeah.
While there's like final point, I'm watching this timer, but while there's no promotion to the W League, the NPL to an extent is still a development league and a feeder into the W League. The same as I've gone into the VPL. While there's no promotion this year, there's always going to be the potential to lose or players to move on to the NPL. That's just that's again a different conversation. That's one of the downfalls for coaches in this system. But so you have to take pride in pushing players up to the next level.
You got to. And I mean, I know we've probably get our head off, and we could probably talk for 3 hours. But Natasha Dakic is a perfect example of a player who came to us this year, and she's probably been one of our best players in our preparations for this season. Yeah. And part of the reason is because she wants to go to the next level. She wants to go to the next level, and she felt like environments she might have been in the past might have restricted her to some extent. And, it was a phone call about that and that discussion about getting to the next level. What can we do to help you? So I'd like to see that girl in that situation at some point. Oh, and she's a ripper. She's going to be a ripper, and she's going to be a great player for us. So, yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. Look, thank you so much for your time, Mark. We appreciate you reaching out to us. You've been fantastic, and it's great to hear your insights throughout the day. And Dean, again,